Hey there YouTube, Zach Butler YGO back with a pretty unique deck here. It's going to be a pile of cards that I just think are really cool that I've wanted to play for a while, so get ready for that. It's not going to make a lot of sense, but I will do my best to explain it as cohesively as I can. You guys had voted on this over in the community tab, letting me know you wanted to see this deck, even though it didn't do particularly well at my local tournament, only going to 2. If this is sort of the stuff you want to see more of, like these conceptual decks, let me know down below. Go ahead and give this a like, anything like that. Just let me know. And I can always bring more of those kinds of decks as well. There's really no, bread and butter combo. I mean, I guess there's a couple that I was, trying to do every game if I could. And let's go ahead. Let's get this to a simple 15 likes. Nice small number, because we're still trying to climb. 15 likes, and I'll go ahead and do some test hands and explain how this deck works in more detail with it in action instead of just the deck profile. But as always, if you like this content, go ahead and let me know, and we're going to jump right into it. We're going to start off with the first engine, which is the 3 Predaplant Orphis Scorpio and 1 Darlingtonia Cobra. So the cool thing about the Predaplant engine actually is that it does one of the big things I think is very important right now in any engine, which is that it provides free bodies. As you can see, if you don't know what Scorpio does, is you send another monster from your hand to the grave on its normal summon to special summon a Predaplant that isn't Scorpio from your deck. So you'd summon Cobra. Cobra then adds a fusion or polymerization spell from your deck to your hand, which is really cool because that means it can search Super Poly. But in this case, we're actually just searching Instant Fusion. And from there, you can do quite a few different number of things depending on what you want to do with that Instant Fusion. You could also search Ready Fusion and have a level 6 if you wanted to. But in this case, we're going to use Instant Fusion for some specific lines. But the other cool thing is that the Scorpio and Cobra then can go into your Fiendsmith combo. They can be used for a Link combo as well with Cherubini into Seer, into Graph. And then you can Link climb into something like a Phantom Knight engine if you wanted to. That was something I had mildly considered exploring. There's a lot of different options with these cards, and I think that they're just really undervalued, and it's just a solid way to get 2 bodies on the field. From there, we have the Fiendsmith engine of the 3 engravers and the 1 Lurie, of course. And I guess I'll just go ahead and do this because it's part of the Fiendsmith engine as well. To go with these, there is 3 tracked because this is a 60-card deck. I want to see my powerful cards as much as I can. So we're going to play as many copies of those cards as we can. So the Fiendsmith engine in this deck, obviously, just like every other deck, is free bodies. However, I'm actually utilizing a couple of different ways to use them than normal. One being for a synchro summon, potentially. The other one just being as, Link climb, as we know. But there's also another rank 6 I found that I think is actually very solid right now, and you'll see in the extra deck, that a lot of people I don't think give any credit to. I am playing a very robust Bestial engine, so there's 3 Lubellion, 2 Druisworm, 2 Saronir, 1 Baldrake, 1 Magnamut, 1 Bestial Aluber, and then, of course, the branded Regained to go with that as well. So this is a very heavy engine. And the idea behind the Bestial Aluber in particular is that if I wanted to go into my Synchro Summon plays, which do matter, I could do that. Even though I'm only currently playing 1 Synchro, it's very pivotal for your end field. And having a searchable tuner is very good, obviously. The reason for the 2 Druisworm, 2 Saronir, I just wasn't sure if I wanted to have 3 of either one, but I figured with Lubellion, I technically had 5 of each when I wanted one. And then I also had 6 Bestials when I was going second into Yubel, which is a very hard matchup, as everybody knows, because that is the best deck of the format right now, I think, bar none. Regained gets extra utility in this deck. It's, I guess you could almost call it a Chaos deck. But the cool thing here is it's just a card that you don't mind drawing, so there is an argument actually to potentially play more than 1 copy, if I can find what I want to cut for that. And then we have the Millennium engine of 2 Sengengen Wakes from a Millennium, 2 Golem that guards the Millennium Treasures, 1 Shield of the Millennium Dynasty, and then we have the 2 Wedju Temples, and I am actually playing 1 Ankh to go with it. So the reason for the singular Ankh is I just wanted a free card to discard. But the reason for the 2-2-1 split is because this isn't my main focus. I don't need to see the Millennium cards as much as other, Millennium-based decks do. This is just an extension engine. Golem being a level 6 is obviously beneficial because of the rank 6s that come up. Sengenjen Wakes from a Millennium being a level 8 could be beneficial if you have level 8s, which you could actually do a rank 8 play with Lubellion. Shield being the worst one of all, but it is just another free body that provides you with a free card. So in theory, if you didn't mind losing the life points, you could actually go Sengenjen into Golem, Golem into Temple, Temple into Shield, and then Shield into Ankh. And you've actually gone through basically your entire engine, and all that's left is another Sengenjen and Golem in the deck. Because of this, I wanted to minimalize them, but I still wanted to see them a little more consistently than otherwise. And Wedju Temple gets additional utility in this deck by making cards into spells. These are, just like I said in my first video about the Millennium, or the techs, the Millennium cards are just a good extension engine, which I think this deck wants just more bodies. And then another extension engine is the Magician's Souls package of 2 souls, 2 illusions. And then I guess I'll go ahead and throw the Ceravis in there and the 3 Preparation of Rites. So that is one of the big things here, is that, as you can see, we have a lot of ways to get to souls through the 5 copies of Illusion. And Ceravis was a card that I actually just kind of thought of like at the last second. It was a very last minute addition in the deck. The idea being that it is a dragon, which does come up because of Small World. It is a light, which comes up because of Small World. Its level is very beneficial. Its stats are also beneficial. It is a great Small World bridge for quite a few different plays, which I like a lot. And the thing about Souls and Illusion is that I feel like this is actually a really solid small engine that needs to be explored more. Even if you don't use the Souls to draw cards, being able to put back your engine requirements is huge. One of the games last night, I drew Illusion alongside Cobra, and my hand was legitimately unplayable otherwise, because it was Soul, or it was Illusion, Cobra, Scorpio, Preparation, and some monster that I don't remember. And I used Preparation to grab Ceravis, used Illusion to grab Souls, and I put Cobra on top of my deck, and then I could go off from there, which was really cool. And I think that that's something worth exploring. Also, the Illusion being a level 7 dark spellcaster helps with a lot of the Small World bridges as well. So like all of these cards get to just kind of work cohesively together. And even though I don't generally think you should be deck building off of synergies, there's a lot of small synergies in the deck that just kind of give it direction. Then there's the Cobalt Eagle to go with the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation package, because I wanted additional cards, like I said before. Free cards are always nice. It is also the best Crystal Beast, in my opinion, to play as a singleton, because it can put itself back on top of the deck. And then the last monster in my deck is Unchained Soul of Shyama. And it is actually specifically Shyama important, or it's important that it's Shyama, not Charvara, because I'm using Necroquip Princess Aerial Eater to send Shyama to use later on. So Shyama being the target is, I think, really important, and it's really cool too, because most people don't see it coming. It is also a water, which does matter. All of these attributes also matter later on. So that was the monsters and some of the spells. For the rest of the spells, we have 3 Small World for consistency, because we want to see our key cards as much as we can. So you have those alongside those other powerful cards. You have 2 Foolish Burial Goods. It was just like a solid card. 1 Chaos Space. 1 Instant Fusion for the fusion line that I will show in the combo video. And then a ton of board breakers, because I don't feel like hand traps do enough in this deck. There's too many power spells. So 3 Triple Tactics Talent. 3 Forbidden Droplet. 3 Dark Ruler No More, and then of course you have Called by the Grave for like an Ash Blossom or something, which can definitely matter. The Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, and then the Angel Statue Azarun. So that is the main deck. It is 60 cards. It is a thick deck right there. That is for sure. But we'll go off to the extra deck, which I think might make some of it make a little bit more sense, I would hope. For the extra deck, you have one Magic Key Beast, Ancilla Bolus. That is quite a name. The only thing that matters is that it's a level 4 Dark Tuner. That's it. Its effect obviously doesn't come up because it's used with Instant Fusion, but it is a Beast Fusion Tuner. It is your instant fusion target because of that, because you're going to go into a synchro that I'll show in a moment, which is the Arms of Gen X Return 0. Now, this is a card that Jared Centimore actually showed me. He played it in his Rose Dragon synchro deck and had mentioned just like that card was really good in general. So I, actually decided to read the card. And what it does is it takes a Dark Tuner plus one or more non-tuners. If your opponent activates a monster effect, you can quick effect banish one monster from your graveyard with that same attribute. You negate the activation, destroy that monster. You can only banish each attribute once per turn to activate this effect of the Gen X monster. So you'll notice in that deck, there's a lot of lights, there's a lot of darks, there's a random wind, a random water, and then in your extra deck, you have a random fire, you have more winds, and yeah, you have attributes to throw around, so you can do that. And it's really cool because it is a generic synchro that can get you there. The main reason I liked it was because in the, I guess, like the closest to bread and butter combo I had, you would threaten Nibiru early with your Fiendsmith line, and if they don't have it, because they're waiting to hold it, maybe they have like Nibiru Imperm, you can go ahead and summon this as well. The other cool thing is that if you wanted to, you could summon this really early, and then as long as you have a light engrave, you can potentially play around Nibiru that way. It was just a solid card that I think a lot of people just don't know what it does. I never really got a chance to do that line. Most of the time I was just doing link summons, but it was really cool. And then I played DDD Wave King High Caesar for the Solemn Warning effect. Of course, that card was really solid because, level 6 Fiends, and you have plenty of those. And then the other rank 6 that I played was Evolzar Lars. So this is one that, when it came out, I remember being very excited about it. Then it kind of never got any attention. It just takes 2 level 6s. And then while it has material, you cannot target it with monster effects, so that's huge. If you activate a card or effect, I can detach 2 materials from this card, or 1 material if all the materials are reptile and or dinosaurs. Then target 1 face-up card your opponent controls, negate the effects until the end of the turn. So, generally, you can use Lars to negate board breakers, outside Dark Ruler, and Forbidden Droplet in most cases. You can use it to negate random monster effects. It's just an Omni negate. It's not the greatest one, which I think is kind of the point, but it's better than nothing. And yeah, it put a lot of pressure, actually. I summoned it more than I thought I would, so it's actually might even be considered it might be worth playing more than one at some point. And then the Fiendsmith cards, I'll just do these 5 together. Necroquip Princess, Aerial Eater, which is huge in this deck, Requiem, Moon in the Closed Heaven, and Sequence. So, the cool thing about Necroquip Princess is that because of Lubellion, you can potentially get a free card. You can get a free draw, which is really cool. Aerial Eater can send your Shyama, which is really important because that's how Shyama generally gets to graveyard, and then you bring back the Shyama, and you can go into a rank 6 with it, or you can go into a link. And then, of course, you have these 3. Moon of Closed Heaven was a card I was actually considering playing more than one of, because I simply just found that I wanted a second one quite a bit. And then Sequence is obviously just Sequence. It's going to be used to go into your Aerial Eater. These cards are good. They're just really cool. From there, I have 1 Unchained Soul of Rage, Silu Hat Rabbit, SP Little Knight. We'll just talk about the rest of the extra deck here. Nightmare Unicorn, Axis Code Talker, and Nightmare Griffin. So this is where I think the extra deck needs some work. The end board can kind of be varied, but there's a lot of utility here. Like you see Rage, you see Rabbit, SP, Unicorn, Axis Code, and Griffin. All those are great, but it needs some direction. So the way you summon the Rage, specifically, because that's the most standout card here, and it's actually part of the end board if you can pull it off, is that you will send your Shyama with Aerial Eater, and then you will set a card, or you can destroy your sequence actually if you want to, because it is a fiend, and then special summon back to Shyama, and then link into Unchained Soul of Rage because it just needs 2 monsters, including an Unchained Soul monster. So that's where Shyama comes in. If you decide not to do that and you want to use the Shyama for a rank 6 so you have it for follow-up, that's also completely reasonable. But that's Rage, which is just an interrupt. And then you have Silo Hat Rabbit, SP Little Knight, obviously, which the Rage goes into. I mean, it can also go into Unicorn, Nightmare Unicorn, Axis Code Talker, and then Nightmare Griffin, which never came up. The idea being that it was just going to be like a floodgate. Originally, I was going to play IP, and I ended up cutting it. I don't particularly remember why, but originally I was going to be able to... The hopeful idea was that I would use like Rage to go into Unicorn, and then below that I would go into Griffin with SP, or with IP, and then I would just have these just sitting there, and then you would have like a lingering floodgate. That never came up. I think that I was just like living too much of a pipe dream there. But yeah, so this could probably get cut for something. There's definitely other Link 4s you could play. There's also other rank 6s and other things like that you could consider, or even just like Link 2s. Like Phoenix could be in here, Cerberus could be in here, which would then also give you a Earth to banish, which would be really cool. But yeah, the side deck is very weird, so I'm not gonna bother showing it. It was also very specific to my locals, and yeah, it's got some tech in there that I think I will show soon enough. But this was the deck. Like I said, it is very weird looking, but I promise it does make sense once you start to play it. Like I said, let's get me to 15 likes with this video. You know, go ahead and share it with your friends if you want to have a different take on decks, this format that isn't just like E-Belt, Snake Eyes, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. It's just a toolbox deck, and yeah. So let me know if you guys want to see some combos and some test hands. I'd love to do it. And until next time, have a great day.